All right, so I know that this has been out for a while. The actual deadline, I think, as you'll see, will be February 15th of next year. So that gives you about 2 months to start getting information together. So here it says that this is established as degree completion award program to provide financial aid. It's up to about $7,000 a year. It And so the requirements of the award, you have to be a student athlete and you have to have completed your eligibility. So that means basically you've done your 4 seasons and you still need to be within your 5 years or 10 semesters. So the first thing that you'll see there is you got to be within 32 credits. So if you could go 16 and 16 in the following year. So you guys are going to end in the spring, right? So for 2019, 2020, if you were able to fit in 32 units at the most during that time, then that's one of the criteria for this award. So if you're more than 32 credits short of graduating, then you will not be eligible for this award. The degree has to, of course, be completed within the 5 years that you have. So if anybody that you talk to has had a red shirt year and they're exhausting their eligibility this year, this would be their 10th semester or their 5th year, and they would automatically not qualify for this next year. So if they didn't finish, they would be on their own financially. And then it says that the applicant must meet the institution's standard for good academic standing. So here it's not too bad because it's just 2.0, but at the same time you're competing nationally with other people for these awards as well as within the school. So I'm not sure how the process has gone. Usually in the past what has happened is that nobody's gotten this stuff ready in time, and it usually comes out like in February 10th, somebody comes up saying that, I'd like to apply for this scholarship that I heard about. And then we start looking at, there's no possible way somebody could finish all of the things that you need to get completed within 5 days. So we've hardly ever gotten anybody qualified for this. But this year, last year as well, we're trying to start this earlier, as you guys are witness to. So it'll be up to the athletic department, primarily William Villa, as to how the selection will occur in the event that there are more than 3 people who are actually able to do everything and apply for this scholarship. Of course, also it says that you cannot get any institutional athletically related aid. And then the applicant must use the award to complete the first undergraduate degree requirement. So if you're looking to finish up a second major, then this would not be applicable. So if you're just finishing up the first bachelor's degree, then you can choose to do whatever you want after that. But it has to be for completion of the initial bachelor's degree. And then the Division II degree requirement award value will be the lesser of the tuition. So of course, over here is 25,000 or 7,000. So it's going to be the 7,000. That's going to be the maximum award that one can qualify for under this scholarship. There's nothing saying that you can't get other aid, especially if it's merit-based or if there are some other scholarship criteria for which you might still be eligible. And that's something that you'd have to check out with financial aid. Of course, you'd have to have your FAFSA done as well for all of those things, because there might be some scholarships that are still out there that you could pick up to supplement the rest of the tuition. And it says then that the degree completion award may be used for the summer term. So if you want to go summer, fall, it is possible. So if you wanted to finish up by the end of the year, then that is something that is available. Summer aid here, of course, is very difficult to receive because there really isn't just it just isn't that much. So you could do that, and then the institution is limited to nominating 3. So it may be you 3 because you might be the only ones that were willing to go through all of this stuff that we'll see very shortly, and the only ones that are actually able to get all the information together in time. A lot of people try, but they just they can't get everything together in time. So then what happens is that we send in our 3, everybody else sends in their 3, and then the NCAA has a committee in Indianapolis that'll take a look at it. They'll make the awards based on who they deem to be the most worthy for the scholarships. We have had people in the past that have actually received this scholarship. I think maybe there might have been 2 in the last maybe since this 2001 is when it started. So in the last 18 years, maybe there've been 2 people that got it all together and qualified. Now there are other scholarships later if you're interested in the event that you want to go on a grad school, and but that's not this one. This one is just to finish up your bachelor's. So the application process. I'll talk to Bill and to Devin, and I guess between the 3 of us, we'll decide what the criteria is in the event that there are more than 3 people. And then what will happen is that there is something called the NCAA Hub. Your nomination will be submitted to the Hub, and then you will be able to open it up and then start to populate your file. So you're going to have to find everything and start uploading it to that particular app so that they can get all of the information together so they can review it at the national office. You have to include a personal statement that answers each of the following questions. So first, of course, the benefit of the scholarship to you, generally financial, but it could be for more than just the financial reason that you are looking to graduate. It could be that you're the things like the first generation in your family to have gone to college. This is not something that generally will show up on a transcript. What you want to do in these statements is you want to highlight things that are not obvious. It's kind of like when people tell me, can you write me a letter of recommendation? And I say, well, okay, well, maybe if you write it, I'll sign it. If it looks good, we'll send it in. But when they write it, it's stuff that easily is found on the transcript. Like I have a 3.8 GPA, or I was on the dean's list, or I graduated, cum laude. I transferred in with 30 credits from another school. These kind of things are easily noticed just by looking at the rest of your records. So you shouldn't waste any kind of valuable space or real estate on a recommendation letter by having someone restate something that's so obvious that you're just going to pick it up off of the rest of the documents that are submitted. Just one thing to think about is, how would the scholarship benefit you? And there are ways I think that you could probably make a more compelling statement. You could be, of course, minority female, and the school may not have a history of that. I'm not sure. I know right now we know that we got more females than males, so it's probably something that would work if a guy said, we got 1 guy for every 3 girls at this school, and most guys aren't graduating, so give me a scholarship. At least you can say you helped another guy graduate into the world and not become whatever. I think that becomes a little bit more interesting nowadays, but there is still that aspect that you can highlight, something like that. Why have you not completed your degree program? Of course, we all know how difficult it is. They know how difficult it is to be a student athlete, right? Particularly basketball, where you straddle the semesters and you end up having to spend so much time both in the fall and the spring, and then other time when you have to do conditioning and training. And that really adds up, so that 12 credits a semester might be a reach sometimes, especially if you got those intense seasons like you guys had last year. Same thing that, and you might want to include that because, again, that's something that's not obvious. Last year and next year, what has happened is because of the conference scheduling, you guys have that really long road trip at the beginning of the semester, right? And you have a number of competition dates. And what I told the faculty senate was, this is something that we got to watch out for. I told the Board of Regents the same thing, in that when I looked at the competition dates, the basketball teams miss 17 of the first 33 days of class. And that includes, that doesn't include the 33 days are just class days, not holidays, not weekends. So essentially, in the first 7 weeks of class, you're missing more than 3.5 weeks of class. Yeah, so, and that is something that is difficult, because that puts the burden on you to have to do the studying, and also to have to really think about how you schedule it, right? You don't want to have 18 credits in a semester like that, because you probably die, right? So you're thinking that, okay, well, yeah. So in that semester, you're going to take 12, 15, whatever. You might not even finish them all. Hopefully you finish at least the minimum number for eligibility. But beyond that, it's kind of like, hey, this is really, I can't avoid this. This is the school. This is the way that we maintain our membership in the conference. And some of us, unfortunately, just have to sacrifice every other year, and we get nailed. So, it's something that I got to think about, that I did think about. And as a result, perhaps that's one of the reasons why the degree wasn't completed in a normal 4 years. And then how do you plan to use your degree, which is something, of course, that they always ask. They always want to know, what do you want to be when you grow up? And that's the kind of question it really comes down to. If it's a degree, I don't want to make fun of anybody, but I always make fun of people, right? So you got none of you majoring in psychology. You major in a social science, and you got to get a graduate degree. Otherwise, what good is it? I took 4 years of psychology, and now I understand the workings of the human mind. No, you really don't understand much. You got a degree. It was maybe the path of least resistance. It's kind of like what they talk about the football players at the big schools. They major in eligibility. So I got through, but I don't know what I'm going to do. There's no pro circuit. There's no pro league. The next step for me has to be something that involves my education. So that's why I'm majoring in this, because I feel that I can have a greater impact, do more, get more done, and be of greater service to my family, my community, and kind of like those kind of things. The third thing there is extracurricular activities, leadership roles, academic honors, and awards. Of course, any kind of athletic awards, any kind of time that you spent as team captain or anything along those lines are good things to put down, because it does demonstrate leadership. If you've been in a club and served as an officer, if you've helped to plan an event here at Chaminade, I think two of the nicer events that if you were able to talk about, I think would be wonderful in a personal statement. And that would be the extravaganza and the PRI, where we start to do a lot of things to really highlight the diversity of the different peoples here on campus. And that's something that everybody gives lip service to. But if you can say that you played a leadership role in one of those things, and what it got for you as a result, I think that would go a long way in helping your personal statement to be more outstanding. Then the next thing here is academic participation, athletic awards and honors, any kind of all conference academic, anything along those lines. Number 5 is academic information from the dean of the college, the faculty advisor, or the head of the department responsible for the applications program. So somebody's going to have to write you a letter that is not from the athletic program at all. So far, maybe you might have got me, but I'm not your advisor, right? For business, I advise accounting students. So I would be able to write a letter for an accounting student that was a student athlete, but whoever your major is it Dr. Friedman or Dr. Gao?
Gao is my advisor.
Okay.
minor in marketing.
Okay. So one of those two, right? Otherwise, you'd have to go to Dr. Schroeder, who's the dean of the business program. And for you two, what are you majoring in?
English. So
okay. So she's your advisor. If not, you need to go to Cheryl Edison as the dean. It'll probably either be somebody who you like that you think might be able to write in a language other than Pidgin. That's why people come to me. So if you think Bailey can write you a great letter, or Yamasaki, either one of those would be good. If not, then again, you end up going to Dr. Edelson, who's the Dean of Humanities, as the overall department. Right? So, and then you have to watch out for these faculty guys. They sneak away and they go hiding in different countries when you least expect them to leave. They call off classes and they say, "I see you in 2 weeks. I'm going to wherever." Right? So you might have to make sure that you know who the dean is, just in case, because when February 15th comes around and those guys are on their junket trips to wherever they go to, gotta have a backup. So, and then financial aid information from the financial aid office. So you know about the financial aid transfer, right? Oh, okay. So you still go to the financial aid office. You're on an F1 visa. So they'll state that, and they'll state that you don't have, other than athletics, any aid. Did you play anywhere else besides Chaminade?
Yeah, I played in some college for the first 2 years.
Did you get the athletic aid?
No, pretty much.
Well, none at all. So you were fully on your own for the first 2 years. Was that a junior college or a Division III? Okay, so they didn't have a program of awarding financial aid. Did you ever have to fill in a FAFSA?
No, I don't think that
Yeah, because you're not U.S. citizens, so you wouldn't normally do that. But who knows? Sometimes they tell you to, and you do it, then maybe you weren't supposed to. But you'll still have to go to the financial aid office. They'll write you a letter, or they will get a copy of something called I-20, and then they will include that for you. That states that because you're a non-U.S. national, you were not eligible for financial aid other than athletics aid, and you did not receive athletics aid perhaps at any place other than Chaminade. So, this is the only financial aid that you would have had in your entire 4 years of eligibility. And that's just something that they need to know. But the financial aid office won't do that for you. If not, then you also got to work with, I think, Marlene.
So I'm also a transfer student, and
Okay.
at my junior college, I did get financial aid for athletics. So I would have to contact them.
You may not have to, because what happens is it comes here, so that we could see like a academic transcript. So we could see what you might have qualified for in the past, or what you might have gotten in the past, and they can evaluate it from there. So they normally have that. Or there is a national clearinghouse that has everybody in the United States that gets financial aid from and does a FAFSA. So that's how they track a lot of the graduation rates. Because if you transfer from one school to another, they don't know, first off, when you started. They know when you should have started, and they put you back in a cohort like if you were a freshman year, and then they try to see if you would have graduated within 6 years. Same thing with that. They're going to look to see all the other schools that you went to make sure that all your credits counted. So if you finally do graduate from someplace, they can say, okay, well, fine, you can credit this school with graduating this person, and these schools that should have graduated this person, but they didn't stay there, don't have to worry about that person, so they can take them off their graduation calculations. So it helps them out. I'm sure you heard about the Division I indexes, right, for the teams, that they got to score a certain index. Otherwise, they can't give as many scholarships as they did because people aren't graduating. Yeah. The tremendous, well, it's you guys sport, yeah, but it's for guys, one and done guys, right? So, All right, so then the endorsement from the director of athletics, the SWA or me, and once we figure out who the people are, and it might just be you because I don't know if I'll see anybody else, then we'll write a letter, send it along to you, and then you can upload it into the NCAA hub. And then number 8 is an official transcript from the institution where you exhausted your eligibility. So that would be here, right? You're all seniors, or you're all in your last year of competition by rule. So this is where your eligibility would have finished up. And so here is where you have to have a transcript of all your grades sent from. And most transcripts will have your previous schools on them because we've given transfer credits for certain things and not for others, but it'll show up. So official transcripts can be scanned and uploaded to the system as a PDF document. So you can get your own unofficial copy, scan it, and put it in for this for now. I think if you do become finalist, then what will happen is that they'll ask you, or they'll ask Chaminade to send official transcripts at that time. As you see, this was written from last year, and last I looked at it, last month, they hadn't updated it yet, so I just pulled off everything from what was there. But this is what's sitting on the site right now on the NCAA hub. But it opened on November 15th, and it'll close on February 15th. And as to the selection process, it says here, the applications reviewed by special committee composed of the representatives from 6 Division II institutions. And the selection committee is made up of 2 representatives from the Division II Academic Requirements Committee. So there's a committee that they look at, what the eligibility standards should be for academics, what classes count. If you take special ed while you're in high school, does that count as a core class, and why? And then if you had other things, they also hear appeals in the event that somebody didn't make satisfactory academic process or progress. So 2 guys from that committee, 2 people from the management council. So the management council, there are 23 Division II conferences, and each conference appoints a member to an organization called the Management Council. So the PAC West has 1. Every conference in the country will have 1 designated representative that sits on the Management Council. And then they make committees out of themselves, and some of them will be reviewing the scholarship applications. And then finally, 1 Division II Director of Athletics, appointed by the D2 Athletic Directors Association, and 2 Division II Faculty Athletics Representatives, appointed by the Faculty Athletics Representatives Association. So you can have pretty much all faculty and staff that review this. So that gives you an idea of who you're writing to and who you're trying to make like you, right? So there are no student athletes on this particular committee. So the student voice, unfortunately, is not heard, but you know that you don't have to speak to the student voice either, because they're just not, they're not always. So here, these are links. I think they're live links in the document. I'll get these things. It does look like they're taking you to the link. So this a frequently asked questions site. So you can take a look through these to see if you have any questions that might be answered in the FAQs. So can a student athlete receive athletics aid and a Division II degree completion award concurrently? The answer there says a student athlete is not permitted to receive athletics aid. So you can't get anything from the athletic department next year if you were to get this scholarship. And there are a bunch of other questions and situations that you might want to look over. They don't obviously apply to everyone who applies for these scholarships, but some of them may be something that applies to you individually. And if you need to talk about it, please come see me. Well, you got to come all the way up to Hill. Hopefully it doesn't rain the next time. Well, it didn't rain now, right? The rain stopped. Yeah, it was raining this morning at about 7:30, 8 o'clock, and then luckily it stopped. And then you guys walked up the hill after 8, right? Or you drove up the hill. Yeah. You can take my stick, or I do have crutches. You might get bad luck though. And then just look for the security guy. That's what I'm going to do for next year. I'm getting myself a golf cart and a chauffeur, and one of those guys is going to drive me up and down the hill. Yeah, I've been here for 30 years. I think I should get a bus pass or something, cart pass. Okay. Yeah. So, do you have any questions about any of this? I know it's really just a lot of work, right? And if you like, as you develop your personal statement, feel free to come back. We can get together as a group again, or maybe other people might want to do this, or other people applying for graduate school. We'll just put together a group and talk about how to better craft a personal statement so you have a better opportunity of being accepted or being awarded something later on.
Is there a link on the personal statement?
No. Oh, I think what you're going to end up having to do is just basically writing it and editing it down. I think it may tell you, like one of those word count things that goes backwards from. I don't remember seeing it last year though. I think people were just, like frantically writing whatever they could. Unfortunately, none of them were able to finish writing whatever it was they started. And I think we might have had 3 people, and then none of them got the letter from the academic person. So it was a little too late to, go running into the dean's office.
About that. Would you recommend Dr. Friedman or Go?
Either one. Whoever you think would lie better on your behalf. Not saying that you don't have any good things to represent, but anytime you have somebody write you something, you want them to be someone who would be willing to stretch for you.
Can I ask both of them to write?
You could. You could. You very well could. Yeah. Just don't let them know. Yeah. Because then they get upset. Yeah, like, oh, why you ask me if you got hers and you use hers instead, right? But there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe later on you can tell. Here's what I did one day when I was still an undergrad. Yeah, and hopefully again they can write something about you that they know about that's not obvious from everything else that you did. Perhaps like your leadership role in the classroom. I mean, there's never any grade for that, right? It's not like when we're in kindergarten and they mark every characteristic that we have, right? By the time you get to college, it's just, she passed. And it never says if you were the one that held up your group or the one that seemed to be the most participatory, that kind of stuff. And if they can write that, then that goes a long way because it tells the reader something that they otherwise would never know about you. And that could make all the difference.
Out of all those documents, which one would you say has the most impact on the people that will?
It's going to be the transcript. It's always the transcript, right? Everybody's fixated on grades. Yeah. You are too, right? Yeah. See, you're honest. Yeah. So most of them are going to be looking at your academic merit. Then they'll be looking after that. They'll be looking at your athletic leadership. What did you do while you were here? You a team captain? Were you on the SAC? Did you do things that showed leadership in athletics itself? And then after that, probably they'll look at the other extracurricular things that you do.
So it's like probably based off like this.
For the most part, because most of the stuff that you get is going to be from here, right? Because the ADs, the athletic department is here, The academic program is going to be here because it's the one the one that you're going to get the degree in. Financial aid, well, they'll look for everything, but most of it is going to be the athletically related aid that you got here. Yeah, and I think more if you have something from a previous school, did you transfer as well? So, if you had leadership things that you were doing at the other school, or you won some kind of award that maybe doesn't exist here, then that might be something to highlight in your personal statement. But they probably won't, they won't need any kind of verification like they do transcripts. So most of the stuff is from here. You did okay over here? You sure? You don't seem too enthusiastic. Or is it because I almost put you to sleep in the last 45 minutes? Okay, so, all right. And you're good until you're not good, and when you're not good, just come see me. Okay? Have a good break. See you later.